Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday. Today I'll be reviewing the Imperial Knights codex. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, that's the one. The Imperial Knights codex. I held off getting this codex for quite some time, half a year or so, probably even more, because I still had this Knight codex that I got less than a year before the release. Yeah, it wasn't the largest of codexes. It only had about 64 pages, and it only had 2 units, the Paladin and the Errant, and that was it. And if you wanted an army, you got to get 3 or 4 of them or 5 of them, and you had an army. But it was something. It was a codex with 2 units in, done. What they've now done is they've released another codex, which I think is the same price, 25 quid or 22 quid, something like that. But either way, they've released this brand new codex. Not an awful lot has changed, but there's some new things in here. Whether it needed its brand new codex, I'm not sure, because this, I think this came out 7th edition. It might have come out just before 7th edition. So this came out 2014 March time, and then this came out last year March or April time. So about a year. Still a very short amount of time for you to be getting another £30, £25 codex. One thing I will know, just the OCD in me, is that the book is just slightly taller on the shelf than all of the other books. I don't know whether they intentionally did that with this codex, but it's not the case for this one, and it might be because of where it's printed. This one's printed in Dubai, and all the others, and the new ones, even the Forge World ones, printed in China. Well, that might be the reason, but who knows. Anyway, let's open this up and have a look. Lovely, obviously lovely hardback, lovely well presented book, nice pages, produced by Games Workshop in Nottingham. Some really nice artwork in here, as you can see. Really gives you a feel for the Knights. Got a nice map there. And you've got the timeline as normal. So you get the different types of Knights. So you've got an Errant. I get their names mixed up all the time. I don't know why, I just do. But you've got an Errant, which is your thermal cannon one. Your Warden, which is your one with the Gatling cannon. You got your Paladin, which is your battle cannon one. Your Gallant, which is it's with your close combat weapons. Your Crusader with all the weapons. So you got 2 weapons, there's 2 ranged weapons instead of a Reaper chainsword. Very iconic knight there. It's on the front of the Graham McNeill novel, or novella, whatever they call it these days. And then you've got these pictures, which I think I've spoken about in the Mechanicum Codex and the Space Marine Codex. They really work here because there's so much detail on the model, and the colours, you can change them, but on other models it doesn't really work like this. It works really well, and I love how each one has a specific weapon loadout, and they've really gone into the depth of each kind of personality of the Knight Titan. I don't know whether they've overdone it, because there's a lot of information on each of these guys, these completely made up guys, but it's very, very fluffy. Even the Crusader, look at that, crikey. Yeah, and then if that wasn't enough, you got House Cadmus as well, House Griffith, Hawkshroud, House Morton, some Mechanicum ones like Raven. It's just picture after picture of slightly different coloured knights. Crazy. Most of the book is this, I'd say. And then you got your Free Blades, Amaranthine, Crimson Reaper, Auric, Arachnus, Gerantius, Impervious Rex, the Living Litany, Midos Almighty, Retribution Incarnate, the Obsidian Knight, the White Warden, Dairos Kamata, the Scorched Knight, Dominito Ohashi, the Unearing, and then you've got some pictures of the free blades here. I love that one with the kind of like smashed helm there. Got some Mechanicum ones, like House Terran, some more free blades, Amaranth, and yeah, more free blades here. And then some heavy metal painting. They're not new pictures, they've had them for ages. These are slightly new though. You've got the Crusader and the Warden. And then you've got Forces of the Imperial Knights. So you've got your household detachment, or you can have an Oathsworn detachment, one Lord of War, optional 2, or your household, which is 3. So you must take 3. And then you've got an optional of 2. You can have 5 knights really for the army, if you really wish. A war gear list, 1 page, 118. All it really is just the heirlooms of the houses. And then we're straight into the data sheets. So got the errant, nothing's changed there. Still reliable, relatively cheap, 370 points. He's got the thermal cannon, which I always forget is a large blast. It's a large blast, strength 9, AP 1, melter, range 36-inch weapon. It's, yeah, if you're against heavy armour or Space Marines or something like that. So yeah, quite reliable, quite cheap in a way. Obviously now the big change in all of these Knight Titans is the carapace weapons. They've got a choice of 3. The Ironstorm missile pod, the Twin Icarus autocannon, and the Storm Spear rocket pod. They can also change the Reaper chainsword with Thunderstrike Gauntlet for 10 points. It's not free, you have to pay for it, and in my opinion, not worth doing. I like the aesthetics of the Thunderstrike Gauntlet, I really do. I like the kind of power fist, massive power fist kind of thing, but in reality, it's not worth changing the Reaper chainsword. Obviously, they've got the iron shields as well. Then you've got the Knight Paladin. Nothing's changed there, obviously, other than the options it can have. It's got the 2 heavy stubbers. I forgot to mention that you've got a heavy stubber there, and you can replace it now with a melter gun. And similar case for the Paladin, it's 5 points extra, but you get an extra heavy stubber, and you get the rapid fire battle cannon, which is no slouch at 72 inches, 2 strength 8 shots I think, large blast as well, so incredible weapon. Forgot to mention that the actual stats of the Knights: weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 10, front armor's 13, the side and the rear are 12, it's initiative 4, 3 attacks, and 6 hull points, 6. These things are absolute beasts. They're incredible even if you've just got one of them. They'll dominate the battlefield, and it'll make your opponent sweat if you got one of these, because they're brutal in close combat. And they're range weapons from the 72-inch battle cannon even to the 36-inch thermal cannon. Yeah, they're high damage output weapons. Then you've got the new ones, because if you've seen the review of the Imperial Knights Codex, you'll know that there were only 2 data sheets in that old codex. In the new one, you've now got the Warden, which introduces you to the new weapon called the Avenger Gatling cannon. Now this Avenger Gatling cannon is range 36, strength 6, AP 3, it's heavy 12, rending, which kind of leaves a sour taste in the people that have bought the Castigators, because I think Castigator's weapon is strength 7, same AP, but I think it's the same shots or a bit more shots, but it's not rending. So it's a very decent weapon mounted on this knight, and it comes with a heavy flamer kind of built in. I'm not sure why, but it does. Again, you can replace the chainsword, the Reaper chainsword, with the Thunderstrike Gauntlet. Not sure why, I'll talk about that in a moment, and you can get the different options. And to get this one, it's 375 points. I'm not sure whether I'd go for it over the Paladin even, because the Paladin, it's got double the range, better damage, and it's blast, and you get 2 large blasts, and that probably would do more damage, especially to vehicles if they're open topped and things, than a strength 6 weapon. But nonetheless, that's that. And then you've got the close combat variant, which is the Knight Gallant, the cheapest of the bunch. It's only 325 points, and that has the Thunderstrike Gauntlet and the Reaper Chainsword. But I suppose you could kit it out with Storm Spear, Rocket Pod, and give it some anti-tank, long-range anti-tank capabilities. Again, exactly the same stats as all of the others in terms of weapon skill and armour and things like that. And then finally, you have the last option, which is the Knight Crusader, which is the most expensive at 425 points. It's pretty crazy. It comes with the Avenger Gatling cannon and a thermal cannon, but this guy has got the battle cannon, and I'd probably run it at this, because then you've got some 36-inch range and some long-range fire, and I may put the missile launcher or the autocannon on there, who knows. But essentially this guy is extra for the rapid fire battle cannon. If you want to change the heavy stubber and have it as a melter gun, it's just another 5 points. But he is the most expensive. If you want to change the weapons, you're looking at 435 points, and the missile launcher 475 points. You're talking about nearly 500 points for one model, but the amount of damage that he can pump out is pretty impressive, and he does have 6 hull points and the iron shields and things like that, so just bear that in mind. So the only kind of extra models you're getting is just these 3 variants, and the only extras you're really getting is the carapace mount weapons, which you can get on the original ones, and the 2 main differences in weapons, the different melee weapon, the gauntlet, and the different range weapon, the Gatling cannon. So that's all of the 5 knights. You've then got the formations, bit puzzling, but you've got the Exalted Court, 5 Imperial Knights. If you wanted to spend £500, it's going to cost you about £500. With discounts, it's probably going to cost you about £400 for 5 Imperial Knights. You get some Council of Lords, so you can get your heirlooms, Knight Commander, and so on. You get a Baronial Court, which probably most people go for. That's 3 to 5 Imperial Knights. You've got some extra things here, and you've also got this Ionic Shield Wall, which is goddamn impressive. As long as an Imperial Knight from this formation is within 6 inches of one or more other Imperial Knights, it adds 1 to any invulnerable saving throw it makes for its Iron Shield on the front arc. So you've got 3 of them going up. Essentially it becomes I think it's a 3+ then, isn't it? Because our Iron Shield's 4+. So yeah, it does help big time. Then you've got the Tripartite Lance, a Warden, a Gallant, and a Crusader. You've got a Gallant Lance. They can essentially re-roll failed charge distances. You have to have 3, and they all have to be Gallants, which is a bit of a pain. You've got a Sky Reaper. All 3 of them can be any knights, but they must all take the twin Icarus autocannons, and they can essentially re-roll failed armor penetration rolls and re-roll glancing hits. And that's it. So you get your 5 knights, and then you get your 5 formations, it seems. So you get 10 data sheets really. And then you've got a nice little picture there. And then you've got the appendix with your warlord traits. And then you've got your war gear, talking about the Avenger Gatling cannon, the Ironstorm missile pod, 72 inch, strength 5, AP4, heavy 1, large blast barrage. You don't need line of sight. It's a large blast template, and it's strength 5, range 72, pretty damn decent. Your rapid fire battle cannon, ordnance 2, large blast AP3, strength 8. Incredible multi-use weapon. You can use that on tanks, you can use it on infantry, you can use it on MEQs, you name it. Storm Spear, it's only 42 inch, but it's 3 shots of strength 8, So even against Marines, that's 3 shots against Marines, which is not too bad. Then you've got your thermal cannon, talked about that earlier on. Your Icarus autocannon, it's essentially just a interceptor skyfire autocannon, heavy 2 shots, but it is twin linked. So that's, you know, Knights needed something that was anti-air, and now they've got it. I'm not saying that they can't fire the Gatling cannon up there as well. 12 shots at strength 6 is going to do some damage, but now you've got something that's twin linked, intercept and skyfire. So melee weapons, got the Reaper chainsaw, good as always, but the new melee weapon is this Thunderstrike gauntlet. I'm not a big fan, to be fair. For some reason they've put it as colossal. With Titan close combat weapons like the Reaver Power Fist or something, I think that strikes at initiative, whereas for some reason they've said that this is colossal. I mean, the Reaper Chainsword is colossal. It's a massive melee weapon, but for some reason they've said that this is colossal and it takes far too much power for the Knight's reactor to move quickly or whatever. They didn't really talk about it. It's just they just say it's a supercharged power weapon. It's a strength D, which is the same as the chainsword, but it's colossal. So you can pile in with it, which is decent, but then it fights at initiative 1. You're going to be striking last. So if you're going up against Thunderhammer Terminators, which probably isn't the best thing to do, let's face it, but if you're going up against them, then they're just going to just hammer you. It's going to be hammer time, it really is, because you're going to be striking last almost. The hurl is quite fun in a way that you can throw a monstrous creature or something like that, or a vehicle. That's quite fun, but nah, I'd go for the Reaper Chainsword. The problem is, I like the Reaper Chainsword, but I like the Thunderstrike Gauntlet. The aesthetics of it better. I think it just looks cool, this massive kind of fist on a Titan. I prefer that to the Chainsword in terms of looks. But rules-wise, Chainsword beats it. And then you've got Special Issue War Gear, which is just the Iron Shield, which is that 4+ invulnerable save. You have to pick a side, or pick the front or a particular side that you want the shield to come up against. You've got Heirlooms, not going to talk too much about them, but some of them give it will not die. Some of them give it Rampager, Paragon Gauntlet, but again you've got Colossal and Mastercrafted. Ravager, which is this chain blade, it can reroll fail to hit rolls of a 1 in combat. And Sanctuary, Iron Shield, has 6+ invulnerable save against each face and side that's not covered by its Iron Shield, which is pretty cheeky really. Tactical objectives, I won't talk about them. And then finally you've got the profiles at the back. So you've got all of the 5 Knights there, and they've all got exactly the same stats. What's the point? And then the melee weapons too, and then you've got your 9 different weapons, I think that is there. But the main change to the old codex is just you've essentially got the Thunderstrike Gauntlet, which is very specific. I mean, if I was running one with the Thunderstrike Gauntlet, I'd be going after vehicles, because then your initiative doesn't really amount to much. But then it's got kind of a very anti-infantry kind of gun. So you could be shooting at infantry and then charging at vehicles. Because think super heavy, they can charge at something that they haven't shot at. Please forgive me if that's wrong, but they can shoot at different targets, can't they? So, but that's the way I kind of run it. You've got the close combat, which is just incorporating that new weapon with a Reaper Chainsword, and then you've got the Crusader, which is incorporating again the other new weapon with an existing one. Really, the 2 new weapons, they've just spread it out over 3 different types of knights, which is a shame, because obviously Forge World, their knights are getting more and more varied. Each one is having a new different weapon. They're now on, I think, their 6th knight, because they had a couple of Mechanicum ones, and then they had the Lancer, the Cerastus, and the Castigator, and now they're on the 6th one, which is the Atrapos, and then their 7th one will be the Hierophon, however you want to pronounce it, with the Magma Las cannons, which is yeah, just looks incredible. I'll definitely be picking up 2 of them. But anyway, that's my kind of review of the new codex. Really wasn't needed. In a way, it's made Knights a little bit worse because of that blimmin' Thunderstrike Gauntlet. I don't like that at all. And it gave you a weapon that, again, wasn't that needed because you've got a double-barreled, you've got a rapid-firing battle cannon, which gave you probably more damage output at double the range. So, but it did give you carapace weapons, which bump up the price of your models, points cost wise. But a 3-shot missile launcher on a unit that has 6 hull points and an iron shield save, if you're using it correctly, that can fire at a different target, is a good thing, in my opinion. Any excuse to make the models look cooler, I'm all for that. That's it for my review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.